much for that generous introduction. I can't believe I'm up here and you're all staring at the sun over my back. The students have these pink sunglasses. I have my daughter here with me, and I think she's coveting those pink sunglasses. First and foremost, on behalf of Governor Patrick and Lieutenant Governor Murray, I want to say congratulations to the class of 2011 at Rouse C. Mahar High School. Congratulations to all of you. It's your achievements we're here to celebrate tonight. And with that, I want to extend the congratulations to the leadership of this community and of this school, to your school committee, Maureen Donlin, and other members of the school committee who are here, to Superintendent Baldessari, who has in a short period of time established himself as one of the state's foremost education leaders, to Principal Hanlon, who's taken over and run this school so ably, to all the members of the community, to the faculty who make all the difference. We know that in public education, nothing is more important than the quality of teaching. That is the essence of students' experience here as parents. That's what makes a difference to our children. And I want to commend the teachers and thank the teachers. Would all the teachers here please stand up and be recognized? Thank you for your service, and to all the members of the staff and the whole variety of capacities that support the critical work in these schools. Thank you. Thank you, parents, for your perseverance and tolerance and persistence in supporting your children through to graduation. Thank you to this community's leaders. I see Chris Donlin here. We miss him on Beacon Hill. He was a fierce advocate for public education. He's probably a fierce sheriff right now, so I'm glad I don't live here. But we're delighted to see him back. I know Senator Brewer was scheduled to be here. I don't see him in the audience. I know he has been very busy, as so many of us have, over the past few days in attending to the tragedies that have happened not far from here as a result of the tornadoes that besieged regions of our state just recently. And I must say, before I go into the comments that I want to make on this propitious occasion of this graduation on this lovely evening, I did have occasion to be out in Springfield, for example, yesterday, and witness to the just appalling damage and hundreds of personal tragedies that went along with this tornado. And you can't help but be impressed at several things in spite of the overwhelming sense of tragedy that pervades in a moment like this. And among those things are some things that I'm going to talk about this evening. Leadership and collaboration in particular. You see so much of the best in government shining at moments like these, where people at all levels of government, federal, state, and local, come together to care for fellow citizens who have experienced unexpected and uncounted amounts of tragedy in their lives. You see a sense of community that we sometimes feel on a more regular basis in more benign circumstances, when we have a snowstorm or a blizzard, and communities come together and people come together, and the normal boundaries in our social intercourse are dropped, and people feel no inhibition whatsoever about holding out a helping hand and working together to help our fellow citizens cope with whatever challenges that they face. You could see that mood, that atmosphere pervasive in Springfield, and I'm sure in other communities like Munson and West Springfield, Agawam, and other places that were affected by this. So that's heartening, and I also think it's a message to those of us in life. You never know when tragedy is going to enter into your life, when it's going to strike. You never know when you're going to be called upon to exercise courage and to show leadership in extraordinary circumstances. You never realize till you have to do it the extent to which collaboration is such a critical skill and a critical ability to have under circumstances of duress. And I'm really proud of our fellow citizens who have responded to this crisis. And I would ask you to join me in a moment of silence for those who lost their lives, and we lost 4 citizens, and those who've experienced deep injury or tragedy in this crisis. thank you for that. I've had the distinct pleasure of spending a lot of time in this area, which my staff is starting to refer to as my satellite office. This district, under Superintendent Baldessari's leadership, was willing to step up with their colleagues at Mount Wachusett Community College and start this state's second innovation school. You will know that in the Achievement Gap Act of 2010, the governor and the legislature made a lot of major moves in terms of education reform, expanding access to the highest quality charter schools across the Commonwealth, giving new rules, tools, and supports to our superintendents and school principals working with chronically challenged, underperforming schools. And then probably the least mentioned, but my favorite of the elements of the Education Reform Act is the provision for innovation schools that basically allowed those educators bold enough, those districts far-sighted enough, those communities innovative enough to embrace the notion of internally chartered schools, schools that would find new ways of doing business to meet the needs of students in different ways than in the past. And among the first districts to embrace this is this very district, and we're very proud of that. The Gateway to College program and the Pathways Innovation School are shining examples in a sea of many successful schools across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, where teachers and educators have come together around a simple purpose: to help all, and by all means all students, learn. You're on the cutting edge here at Mahar, and each of you has played a particular role in that success. Your work in general with Mount Wachusett Community College, and specifically with the Innovation School, represent a part of what I like to call the renaissance of innovation in public education here in Massachusetts. It's largely due to the inspired leadership of your superintendent, Michael Baldessari, who has built many local partnerships, expanded on existing work, and not been afraid to rock the boat all on your behalf, and your committed school committee who has embraced all these challenges, and most of all to your talented teachers and educators who have balanced daily duties with taking the time and engaging in the reflection necessary to project a long-term vision. This, my friends, is leadership. And to the graduates of the class of 2011, you have many fine examples of leaderships in your midst and among your peers, I'm sure. But also, I want you to pay attention to what your school leaders and your school district leaders have accomplished for education in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts more broadly. Secondly, I want to talk about collaboration. Much of the success of the Pathways Innovation School is due to the strong partnerships not only with Mount Wachusett, but with teachers, educators, administrators, families, and businesses, and community leaders in this region. We will only be successful in our current economy and build a stronger future economy if we learn to boost each other, lean on each other, and work together to overcome the challenges that we face. I am fond of saying these days that the job that we have now asked public education to do, the job of educating all of our students to a high standard, when we used to have a school system that we asked only to educate a few students to a high standard, that job is bigger than schools alone can do. In order for us as educators to be successful in preparing all of our young people to be successful in a 21st century economy and democracy, we need the help of the entire community. And here again, your Mahar school community is a great example of the kind of collaboration it's going to require to get the job done. Your work to determine if regionalization from pre-kindergarten through grade 12 between Orange and Petersham has tremendous potential to allow educators to discover new opportunities, to build teaching capacity, and to share best practices and educational approaches to help all students access a 21st century education. And that brings me to my final point about leadership and collaboration and the pathway to the future, and that refers to entrepreneurship. In today's economy and in today's world, we are facing unprecedented challenges. everything in our midst has changed. The economy, the world order, the nature of the challenges that we face as a Commonwealth of Massachusetts, our position as a state among the other states, our position as a nation among other nations. We are facing new challenges at the same time as we address lifelong, age-old challenges. For example, the dropout challenge that we face in education, the problem of achievement gaps. We are convinced that we need to work in new ways to address persistent challenges in our society. In order for our economy to thrive, more and more of our students are going to need a successful post-secondary education. They're going to need to complete that education and get the certificates and degrees that go along with it in order to have the kinds of skills and knowledge that will make them competitive with nations and students all around the world who are being educated to unprecedented high levels. And in order for us to be competitive, in order for our students to draw the kind of wages that enable us to support the middle class economy to which we've been accustomed, we're going to have to be smarter and more skillful than young people and workers all over the world. In order to maintain a 21st century democracy and to lead that democracy, our students are going to have to receive the kind of liberal education that enables them to be critical thinkers, informed citizens, informed voters, and active leaders in this society. In order for them to go forward and succeed in life, they're going to need to be heads of our family. And they're going to need to have all the character traits that we associate with that. And finally, they're going to need to be lifelong learners, because there are problems that we as educators can't even conceive of that you, the graduates of the class of 2011, are going to confront within the next decade or two, and we'll need to know that you have the skills to educate yourselves as you go forward. Take those skills together to be a challenging worker, to be a citizen and leader in a 21st century democracy, to be the head of a family, to be a lifelong learner. Those are the qualities of entrepreneurs, both in the private sector and in the public sector. And we will need you to master those skills and to have those qualities and to be willing to step out on your own and carve new pathways, new approaches and strategies to solving the problems that confront us in this society. And we're counting on you to do that. Lastly, let me talk a little philosophy, if I may, before I step down. I was asked the other day why somebody used, in fact it was my third grader Addie, who doesn't have to listen to me, she's over there reading a book right now. She asked me, why do they call life a journey? And I said, you know, I think of life as a pathway. And it's a long pathway. Many of us think about the destination. We think about great riches, or we think about fame, or we think about power, or we think about whatever the ingredients are that we think go into achieving happiness. Too often we think about material things that we think will comprise that happiness. And what I'd ask you as the class of 2011 to think about is several qualities that I think go into ensuring happiness and success. One of those is thinking about life's journey not so much as a destination that we're going to arrive at or some material accomplishment that we can point to, but a journey, and it's how we travel that journey that makes all the difference. And what I encourage you to do is to elect a pathway with heart, to take a journey on a pathway that engages you, in which you feel some sense of excitement, some sense of passionate involvement, something that you care deeply about. I was with some students in Cambridge today, and they were interviewing me, and they asked me if I liked my job, and what was it that I liked about my job. And I was happy, and I felt privileged and lucky to be able to say I love my job, because my job addresses a mission that I've always had in life. And that mission was to help work with others to make an education system that works better for all of our students. Not just a system that's successful with some of our students, but works with all of our students. And having this kind of job to do, a job that you get up every day in the morning feeling it's a privilege to go to, That's one of the great qualities of a good life, is having good work to do. So I would urge you, as I urge my students at Harvard as they go out into the world of work, to look not just for the job that pays you the most money, or the job that's the most glamorous, but a job that's about good work, and good work that engages you, that ignites a sense of curiosity and passion and excitement in you. A job that gives you the chance to work with others who inspire you to go beyond what you think of currently as your limits, both intellectually and morally, and in terms of the kind of energy you bring to work. So that's one thing. A second thing is to make sure that you maintain your health in life, your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, so that you are able to give fully of yourself to that good work and to the others in your life. And lastly, to the others in your life, most of you here today are surrounded by loving families and a loving educational community. You've had many privileges and advantages. And I'd encourage you to think about that and how lucky you've been as you go forward and do in the future, not only for yourself, but you do for others. But to think about the love in your life and honoring that in your families, with your loved ones, with your special partners, with ultimately your children. And think about preserving the space and preserving the energy to give your life the love it needs to flourish, and to give to others the love they need to go forward with energy and passion in their lives. If you can put together that path with heart, composed of good work, composed of a healthy life, composed of a life filled with love, then no matter what your ultimate destination, you will have it made. So I congratulate you on the hard work that has brought you to this particular passage point on your journey. You're young. There's a lot of the journey that lays before you. There are lots of opportunities, lots of excitement, lots of love, lots of passion, lots of good work to do. Governor Patrick and I commend you as you go forward in doing that work. We wish you all the best. I urge you to persevere, to overcome whatever adversity puts itself in your way, and keep at it. It's a privilege and honor for me to be your graduation speaker. Godspeed as you go forward. All the best to you.